Just use it in dark.
It's that light over there that's flipped on. I usually never laugh.
It is, well, it is
It's
on.
on?
It is on. That's what I'm saying, still feels dark.
Well, it's not very bright outside.
Well, that's true, good point.
And you got your blinds closed. Want me to open them up?
Nah. It just threw me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Would
where
make
it
it
is.
dark.
Good morning, everyone. At this time, I'd like to call to order the December 28th meeting of Preston County Commission. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Let the record show that all three commissioners are present. Commissioner Stone, Commissioner Price, and Commissioner Smith. Do we have anyone from the public that's not on the schedule to be
No, sir.
recognized? Thank you. Didn't think so. I'm gonna bring this down to bills real quick. Does I have a motion to approve the bills at this time?
Motion to pay the bills as they have been presented and reviewed.
Second. Motion on the second to pay the bills. Commissioner Stone?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes. We have nothing from the assessor this morning. And so that will bring us down to our 901 appointment with Mr. Dwayne Hamilton, but I think it'll be, I guess it'll be Justin instead.
Yes.
With an employee hire.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, we're requesting your approval to hire Kaylin Powers as a regular full-time public safety dispatcher for us. Effective January 1st, 2022. For your approval, she would start her probationary period at $16 an hour. And this is kind of our middle tier position, so it does have benefits, but they're just a little bit of a prorated.
Gotcha.
What's the name again, Justin?
Kaylin Powers.
Kaylin.
Yeah, Kaylin. And she is from Arthurdale. So Preston County, Lease.
Motion to approve this employee hire on 911.
So moved.
Oh, second.
Okay. Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Stone?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. All right.
Actually, she's right here too. She slipped in on this in the back. This is
Good morning.
Kaylin. So.
Hi.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Sorry, I was holding you just with the tax office. I think I got my wires.
No, it's good to meet you. Thank you for coming and learning. Hope everything goes well. Thank you for bringing it along, Justin. Thanks.
Arthurdale, all your life, is that right?
Yes.
Awesome. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the tough job you're about to do.
Yeah, exactly. All right. A couple minutes before our next appointment. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for November 30th and also for the 7th and the special session?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for November 30th, 2021, December 7th, and the special session.
Second.
Motion for a second to approve all the minutes. Commissioner Stone?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes. And, how about the proceedings of vacation? I have a motion to accept those in the record.
I move we approve the proceedings in vacation from the clerk's office December 9 through December 22.
Second.
Motion for a second to approve and accept the proceedings of vacation. Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Stone?
Yes.
Yes.
We have on the estate settlements from the clerk's office, these are the ones that I move we approve. Also, Christopher Davis, that is Michael Lawrence and Virginia May Davis, Ralph Miller Jr., Rhodey Heaver, and Shannon.
Second.
Motion for a second to approve these state settlements. Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Stone?
Yes.
Yes. We have minutes. I'll tell you what, I don't think we'll this through by the time it gets up here. Hi, Owen. How are you this morning?
Okay, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. We have Mr. Owen Evans with the Preston County Fire Association with the renewal of the levy of membership. You have a nice Christmas, sir.
I did.
Good.
Morning. I'm here to represent the Preston County Firemen's Association to seek support for placing Preston County Fire Levy on May 22 ballot for the 5-year renewal. It won't run out until June 30th of 23. But last time when we brought this in, we got it in just under the wire, and I'll mention that here in a minute. But at our meetings, we've been discussing the need to continue this. And so we made the motion and passed it there on December the 16th at our meeting of this month to seek support for that now. The last time we ran the levy, we realized that we put it in pretty close to deadlines.
Right.
And it forced a lot of burden on the assessor's office and the county clerk's office to try to get it on the, first of all, get it on the ballot quick enough.
Right.
And then when it did pass, it really
To get it implemented and everything.
get it implemented and everything. So we was trying to avoid that. Our thought process was, so we went to Linda Huggins and asked about when we need to get it on there. And she said, well, you definitely need to get it on one of the elections for 2022. So we thought we'd try it here on the spring one.
Okay.
And that would give us a second chance if we thought we needed it.
If it looked like you weren't gonna make the deadline, you could put it on the November one instead.
Yes. And another reason we did that, I'm gonna talk about, but we are asking for a slight increase.
Okay.
We fell short back in 2018 with our estimates. It didn't quite bring us the funding that we were looking for, which was, at that time, we was trying to achieve $40,000 per department and $15,000 a year for the association.
Right.
And we fell short of that. So we thought we would just slightly increase it and try to make that up. One of the other changes we had was that we had 10% in there set aside in that levy, that 10% of that money had to be spent for training. And what we're finding is that's a little bit more than we needed for our training budgets. And some departments are actually having a hard time spending all that on training. So what we wanted to do is we didn't want to change the 10%, but we were putting wording in there to revise that.
So it can be spent somewhere else.
So that part of it could be spent for something that we think is just as equally as important, and that was for recruiting and retention of volunteer
It kind of goes hand
firefighters.
in hand with training. It's very, you gotta watch when you earmark money for certain things, because you experience this with the military. It's like, oh, you get all this money. Yeah, over here in this pot, but I can't touch it because it can only be used for this. And so that's where you get, I think it's a good idea.
And the 10% was just it wasn't very good estimate, it was just a guess.
It was a guesstimate.
And we wanted to make sure that we were putting money into training, to be responsible with the money, that we weren't just spending it all on equipment or trucks. So that's why we've done that. But we do see a real need now to put money into, and some departments are really being proactive and have actually went out there and got some grant money, a couple of them in the county, to help with recruiting and then retention of firefighters.
I think it's a good combination, you know, you recruit a person, you gotta train them, so it kind of goes hand in hand, so I think it's
Correct.
a good thing.
Yeah. So then the raise that we're asking for, talk about that just briefly. It's basically 1 cent per $100 on a class 3 or 4 property. It would be a ½ cent per $100 on a class 2 property. Of course, we don't have any class 1 property.
That's just the baseline.
It would be a $0.25 cent raise on class 1 property, but we don't have any in Preston County, so it's.
So it's
Now-
1 cent on
It's
1
1 cent,
on a class 3, a ½ cent.
half,
Class
Class
3 and
two.
class 4.
class 3 and 4 would
Okay.
be 1 cent per $100.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
a class 2 property would be a ½ cent
Yeah.
per 100.
Mhm.
Now, with that increase, we estimate with our new estimates that would get us into the $40,000 range that we were shooting for,
Okay.
maybe even a little bit above. But if it falls short, like the other estimate did, it should just put us slightly above, not much. But the other increase that we're going to do, that we're requesting, we originally set $15,000 aside for the county association.
Right.
It come right off the top, 15,000 every year to the
Right, right.
association. We were using that to take care of some different combined resources, and that was our dive team that all the departments call upon. It was also used for the hazmat team, and then we have a rehab trailer that's owned by the association. And that money's falling really short of doing those things. Plus, we've come up with some new goals for the association that will actually save departments some money. And one of those goals is to first try to find a piece of property and build a countywide training center in the Cincinnati County something. And then everybody could utilize that. And that we would have training props there. Some of them they would have to go there and use, but some of them could be borrowed and taken out to the different departments, and everybody wouldn't have to own their own that way.
That makes sense, yeah.
We're asking to increase that to 30,000 a year instead of the 15. To have that money.
And just to put this in perspective, that increase is only good for $100,000 homes, only $10 per year.
Yeah, for my taxes, I looked up what I'm paying now would increase me $10 a year.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not bad at all.
No, you think about it. Great.
Tax nuts. Yeah, would give us that additional funds to do some things with that we really like to be able to do.
Oh, and I just have a quick question
Sure.
about the training. Where do all the departments train at now?
Well, it varies. We do in-house training and everybody does it differently. Some people will just schedule it so many a month. And like our department in Albright, we meet every Monday night. So the first Monday of the month is a business meeting. The rest of the Monday evenings is set aside for training. And then one of those nights we do what we call inspections, where we run all of our small equipment and do our vehicle inspections.
Okay.
So, and I think Kingwood does it on Monday nights. I know Preston does it on every Tuesday evening.
Okay.
And then there are some departments that just schedule, ahead a little bit, don't have a set night every week.
It's one they can best fit it in.
And then one other thing we do, and this is one thing, back when we was asking for that 10%, there was some problems going on with RESA 7. It was changing. They actually did away with the RESA 7 name, and they go under West Virginia Public Service.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So the funding, we were having some problems getting all the firefighter classes we needed. So we asked for that 10% for that. We wanted to make sure that all the departments actually didn't just put training aside because they didn't have the funds. Well, then the funding has changed with them now, and they've actually lowered the class limits. It used to be, if you didn't have 20 people, you couldn't start a firefighter 1. But we couldn't get 20 people at one time.
Yeah.
In a new group. So now they've lowered that to 10. And they, so far, have not been turning us down for classes, even if we end up with 8 or 9. So that's one reason. Now, we still pay a portion of that.
Right.
We have to pay a portion, but we don't have to pay the full amount. So that's freed up some of our training money.
Back to Samantha's question on where you train. I know that over the years, there are burn buildings and facilities that you go to out of the county.
Yeah, now the burn buildings, the closest one is, you go into Clarksburg and you go out, I forget that road name, but you go out past their state road garage out in the country a little bit.
Meadowbrook Road is what it is. I know it, yeah, right there at the, right there on, off of 79.
That's our closest burn building. The next
Takes you out
closest
to the
one
airplane.
is clear down at Weston at the Fire Academy, because WVU moved their Fire Academy to there.
Okay.
So to do the live burns, which every new firefighter is required to complete in order to become a firefighter and be able to run on a truck now, That's all part of firefighter one. But we will do firefighter one classes here in the county because we have 3 instructors. We have Perry Barlow, Ethan Rousey, and myself. And like last winter, me and Perry taught a firefighter one in Brewston. Then I taught a firefighter two in Albright. He taught one in Terre Haute because we had enough to have 2 groups. But so we have instructors here. We just had a training facility where we could do the live bombs.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to go so far. And then we have other counties that'll put on training weekends or training week. And sometimes we'll send some of our folks maybe 2, 3, 4 counties away and put them up for the night and they'll attend classes if we can get them to do it. Some of them are willing to do that.
I think one other thing that we don't talk about too often, but when the fire departments are supported well, it further ensures that your homeowner's insurance is going to remain at a good level. This is a huge thing that all the different categories of things like the pump capacities in the trucks and the water supply in the area and everything goes into that. The hose testing every year, that is a huge expense, but all that stuff keeps homeowners' fire insurance.
Yeah, I can give you a true life example of that. In 1991, Albright was a Class 9 fire department. And for those of you that don't understand that, the ISO ratings, if you have a recognized fire department, you automatically become a Class 9. Anything other than that is a Class 10, which is your highest insurance rating in those areas. So we worked pretty hard, made a lot of improvements, got new equipment, started doing some of this testing, and we were able to get down to a Class 5, and I forget what year that was. But it dropped. We had one of our members who came to our meeting and said, hey, my insurance dropped 55% when we went from a Class 9 to a Class 5.
Yeah.
But we're now a Class 4, and we're striving to get lower. It's pretty hard. It gets harder the lower you go, obviously.
Yeah, you almost gotta have full-time fire people.
It will get to a point where we won't be able to go any further unless we have 1 or 2 paid.
Right, I kind of figured that was the case, yeah.
But that's huge. I mean, when
Yeah, because when you get
when
that.
you look at that cost of the levy and all the free labor
Correct.
that's involved, I know how that is. And you look at all the free labor and then you look at what the levy cost and then what your insurance would go up if there's certain elements that would.
Well, that's a point I always try to make with folks because they don't maybe understand it. And like for us, if we lost our Class 4 and had to go back up, say, to a 5, 6 or higher, it would drastically increase. Just their insurance rates would be more than what this levy costs.
What the cost
And
is.
so a lot of people just aren't aware of that. Now, some areas don't use the ISO ratings now to base their insurance rates on, but they still are looking at things that the fire departments don't want. And another good point I'd like to make about this is people say, well, you get state funding, and we do. We get roughly around $40,000 a year from them. But I did some math back in 2018 when we were doing this. And we were pretty much spending their dollars on the things that they require us to do. The annual pump testing, the annual hose testing. And then our SCBAs have to have an annual flow test on them to make sure they provide enough air for firefighters. And then we also have any of our rescue tools, like the jaws of life and stuff, that all has to be tested annually by a company certified to do this testing. And there's some pretty big bills come in. We write some pretty big checks when we get this testing done. So, time you get all those things done that they require you to do, you really don't have a lot left. Another thing is by getting this levy, I've seen more departments in our county being able to take care or take advantage of some of these grants because they now have funds to pay. For instance, the FEMA firefighter grant requires that we pay
A match.
a match, and I can't remember right now if it's 5 or 10%. But if you're getting, like, we got 125,000 from them for new SCBA's, but we had to put up about 11 or 12,000,
Mhm.
almost $12,000 for our match. And without the levy, it might have been hard to come up with that. You just couldn't even apply for that grant. So by having these extra dollars, sometimes it actually frees us up to go after more money. But I've seen a lot of successful grants here in the county the last couple of years, and that's been good. And I contribute part of that to this, having these levy funds. Even the fire marshal now started a grant program for equipment, and like this year, we bought a washing machine to wash the bunker gear in. People think, well, couldn't you just wash it in a regular washing machine? Well, that's what we've done for years. The problem is, they're finding we're not getting the toxins out of the gear.
Mm-hmm.
And so a firefighter, and remember, these are volunteers, they're not compensated with any type of insurance or anything for this. But just being a firefighter, all the research is showing increases your chance of getting cancer by at least 10%. But by buying this washing machine, it is an NFPA tested and approved machine that has a cycle in it and uses the right chemicals to make sure we're getting those toxins out of gear and we're not breathing that. So it used to be guys like to let their gear get dirty. It was kind of a badge of honor. And now it's just the opposite. Our leadership is pointing and saying, hey, get that gear clean because it's going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing we're looking at right now is trying to get an exhaust system put in our building for our vehicles that you hook the vehicle exhaust to. So when you first start it up, you got to build up air in your brake system before you can leave. And you're putting all that exhaust in the building, and there hangs your gear. It's absorbing that,
Mm-hmm.
and everything in the building. If you have occupants, it's pretty dangerous. So we're working on that. That's going to be about a $75,000 to $80,000 ticket item for us.
Mm-hmm.
So these levies, we really need to continue, or we're going to really go the other way, and we don't want to do that. But anyhow, we wanted to also make sure we let everybody know the appreciation from the 12 departments for having the levy last. We're actually have collected 3 years. They're collecting the 4th year now.
Mm-hmm.
So we've still got another year on it, but we want to get this going, and we want to go ahead and request this before we put that burden of trying to do things in fast order there for the county offices, because they've got enough on their shoulders. And we're going to go ahead and do like we did last time and try to, promote it. We're going to try to have some public meetings for the public to answer their questions. And of course, we'll be putting stuff on Facebook. And we did build a revised chart to show the price increases that we discussed there earlier. The one thing I don't have for you, I have a draft form of the actual order that you guys have to sign. But Jay Shea has it, and he's going to get,
He's got to review it.
as soon as he gets it reviewed, he hasn't been able to get that done yet.
Okay.
Then we'll get the final version to you. But that's really all I have, unless someone has any other questions.
Yeah, I appreciate you getting ahead of the game, getting us started until the last second,
We wasn't sure if people thought we'd be a little too early going on the spring one, but we thought, well, that would give us a second chance in the fall if something happened and they didn't like this increase. We could maybe just say, okay, we'll run it again in the fall without the increase. But it's a very small increase.
I think they'll support.
I hope so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Brings us down to Mr. Karen Farroco, City of Kingwood, Veterans Memorial Plaza Courthouse Lawn Project.
Good morning. I'm here representing Kingwood City Council, and as you know, we are committing $5,000 to do a design for the Veterans Memorial Park. And we received the conceptual design proposal from Sarah Serino, and it comes to about $8,000. So the city has committed the $5,000, and we were hoping that the county would commit some additional funds
Okay.
so that we can get this, get the design completed. She's proposing about a little over $2,000 for just the conceptual design. And then we would need about $1,500 for the topographical survey.
Mhm.
And then the final design and construction documents would be about $4,200. So it comes to about $8,000. And, we could do just the conceptual design and the topographic survey, but then, you just have a piece of it, and the final would be what we would need to be able to actually get it designed and put into place. So that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, would that perchance fall under hotel motel funding? I mean, because it is, I know it's not an art, but it's a tourism type thing. You know what I mean? It's just a thought.
I just have to look
It
at
was just a
that
thought.
a
I
little
mean-
bit. You certainly can invest money on a historic structure, which is the courthouse.
Mhm.
You also have some internal contribution money and some external contribution money that would reach that threshold of 3. I think she was asking for 3.
Three is what I.
Is the design complete and has it went with Bill Benson and?
No, that's part of the conceptual design. That's the first part for about a little over $2,000.
Okay.
And that would happen then, we would then get everybody together, look at this, the
Make any
design,
final
Tweaks,
tweaks and
yeah.
stuff, yeah.
and then
exactly.
they would do the final
Okay.
design,
Right. Okay.
so.
All right, well, something for us then. I don't see it being a huge issue. We just have to figure out where we're gonna pull the money from and things like that. We'll discuss that and figure it out.
And if,
I think the sooner you make a commitment, I think that you move forward with the project. Once again, anything that you do in a historic district must go through SHPO.
Correct.
Just a reminder that process can be
Ex-
a little
extremely-
bit slow, so the sooner you would make a decision to move forward, the faster you might look at construction.
Well, I don't see.
I don't have a problem doing it. I would like to officially name an official committee that is working on that design to make sure that the people that have been instrumental in getting something established over there for that have a voice in the design and things that are going. That's important to me to make sure that the right people are at the table. So I don't know what your thoughts, Dave.
Do you have on that.
Absolutely.
Do you have a committee already established?
no,
Okay.
no,
Because I was gonna say, there's no reason to be redundant if you already have something, you just need to.
Well, I think the partners are clear. You have the city of Kingwood, you have county commission, you have the veterans. And I just questioned Main Street Kingwood, I think was a partner. When we had the meeting
Right.
over there on the
Yes.
courthouse lawn, I think those were the parties
Mhm.
that you might put together on that.
Okay.
You could, I can prepare something for your consideration at the next meeting.
That would
I
be
think
great.
it's just important that we know that we want to go to the end result, if you could make a financial commitment.
I have no problem doing that. I'd entertain a motion that we do that today. We have the money in the contribution, so I think we just go ahead and focus.
I'll
on
certainly look at your other avenue
We'll do that
and bring that proposal to you
right.
of a way to fund. But you have internal contributions and you have external contribution money still out there.
Yeah, I think it's something, like you said, it's something important. We need to move forward to it, and then we'll establish that committee. And get with
Can you put that on the agenda for next week, Kathy?
Yes, ma'am.
And make sure we have the committee people committed that.
You want
they
the
were notified.
financial component and the, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and we'll put it on for next week. and vote
Yes,
on
ma'am.
okay, great, thank you.
Thanks.
that. But it is our desire to see it through. That
Yeah,
helps.
that is, yes, thank you very much.
All right, that brings us down to the county clerk, Ms. Linda Huggins, with approval of the precinct changes. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning.
After I thought a little bit about this, I thought it would be best to wait till January 4th. And we have the final vote on the new magisterial districts. And then from there is where I should move forward with my precinct changes. So I think I'll wait till January 4th.
Okay.
To put that on next meeting
All right.
agenda, okay?
Just to make sure.
All right, sorry about that.
Yeah, make sure it's on the agenda.
I just, didn't think that through right away.
No, that's fine. Yeah. All right. To the sheriff, Mr. Britt. How are you doing today, Sheriff? With the executive session we need to go into. So we will have a motion at this time to go into the executive session for personnel with the sheriff.
So moved.
Second.
Motion for a second to go into executive session with the sheriff. Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Stone?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Are you sticking around? Okay, because I have a question for you. But I didn't want you to run out while we were in executive session.
Yeah. Step into the back room here.
You're right, you're right. I'm not sure what the protocol is.
We brought this to them. I'm waiting one day. I revised that. I sent it to Jay. There was very few changes. I just wanted to look at it, make sure it wasn't something I'm missing. It's just,
Oh, yeah. I can see that. And I think maybe we should have an assessor double check. Well, hopefully she needs to check. But it's not hers.
she gave me.
She already gave us.
This an Excel spreadsheet. I took, the numbers and gave me the
Okay.
So unless there's a problem with
No,
her tool,
no, that's fine.
that's what she used last time. And one of them, I think this is part of why we felt a little bit short. Yeah, he said, "Say, got literature, that same piece." Only she didn't give me the best promise, but when it was just a cop. It did, she's purchasing in January for unpaid taxes, uncollectible taxes, or what the other one they call it, taxes that they end up paying on. And then subtracting. And now they're using that it's 7%, you say take off, or 6%, you say take off for that, so they get a better estimate. And then they can take off deductions that can never pay every year. So that, there's too much. And then that's what I did, is we did not.
That should say all the wrong
You got all your
things.
fingers and all your toes.
See, I like that. That one's on the right.
Not full amount. It's whatever.
Yes.
So it was in the middle bids.
Okay, gotcha.
What I have noticed is Parliament's gotten a little bit closer in that sort of.
Who?
Some.
He was a teacher and he was on the school board for like 20 years.
And it's partially because of the tax basis.
So schools was the,
It's still
paper the first school that I was on your schools. And people thought he was
trying to
kill over studying day. That was 4 years ago.
He's there. We could ask for more. Still, we still are always. I was telling
I did.
Carol, yes, she's the one, the launders.
runs it, or just Marshall's place? Who actually runs
Well, I don't know, but I have to ask her.
it?
Because you know, Teresa Martha used to be another reporter, and she's
Is
not
she
been
not?
well. She has some health problems.
Wasn't her employee?
I don't know that. I don't know.
Anyhow. Our last new engine. In 2000.
He's on
That same truck today.
Yeah, she's doing that. I think she was okay. Yeah, she didn't go on the job. She didn't go on the job.
That was the last time I'm pregnant. That was code was basically, that was probably 10 months. That's what she was up on those shots. And code said she worked on that. That's the best of it. I was so much. She just.
She showed up. She showed up.
Good job. I still don't have it. That company's raising the price. Because they had it in their contract. Steve wants that.
She has.
Great. But everything's different. LED lights they put on, everything they use. Plus, he keeps coming up with new things that has to be built into safety contracts. And they're good safety. Once in a while, I'll be something stupid. Like, a few years ago, they put in there, you had to have this chevron stripe in the whole rear of the car.
Parents like, all of
It's like striping in two colors. So it catches people's attention as he's coming up from sleep.
Is this your dog?
No, this is my parents' dog.
That's a good thing, because it is like makes more visible than dog. However, they had another one where you had to put on the left.
Who's this?
It's one of the leaks, couldn't be pretended, had to be yellow and blank. When you stopped and put the car or the vehicle in park, so they knew you weren't moving. They didn't hit you because you're sitting still. Who knows that? You
Yeah,
know that?
no.
If you saw that yellow light, probably should
That's
you
when
know
I'm
it's
taking
stopped.
a driver's test, you know. I know that whenever an emergency vehicle come along, I'm supposed to pull over and do that the right way.
But
That's how I know that.
that light's a good thing.
It very much
I noticed that when you see a yellow light flashing on the top of that corner, it's not moving, you're gonna catch up with it really fast, because it's setting still. And it happens when you put a car like that. $1,500 to price.
You know, that little kid got sucked into it.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
And then
Maybe
they
they need more
had-
knowledge of people.
I mean, she.
Now, is that?
A couple years ago,
Taking
that
the
big,
dog.
now that's
Is that
nationwide.
Spartacus?
Anything that people.
The kids were there.
He said, sugar coats on there.
She's got.
Because so many inches longer. Because some of the guys were bigger. And when they put their SUV on it, wouldn't do it now. Okay. But that, anything they do, yeah. And it's probably literally $1,000.
No.
They just charge it, just get enough.
Well, that's what we always say, every time we're ordering stuff and your government, oh, well, that just jacks it right away.
If you were required, that's a habit, they just jack. It's unreal. But, I think it would.
Nobody's chasing
The
right
last
now. In his mind,
we
he's
never
over
had an actual resident.
He's a great cat.
Till about
Oh,
2.5 years
he is. He
ago.
likes to cuddle and everything. It's like, hey,
He
cuddle.
was all of our rescue tools, fit on the truck, we've got them scattered on 3 times. We can't always get enough drivers to
I
get
guess
the
we're
trucks
probably
there.
doing that.
So,
You are.
we're not doing it for years.
He said we have numbers and shit. Basically what we're gonna do. I've been forced
For
on
that,
that.
it was 800.
There's a guy called
Rescue truck, they don't draw water.
that wants to be yonder,
Probably somebody's
wants
not.
to be yonder bill.
So, first off, we can.
And, it's in charge of residents.
One that only has 25,000 miles.
Well, anyway, he's been emailing me some stuff. What we need to do is we just need to pass that out. Let everybody digest that.
With a bunch of doors, you know. I mean, he had it refurbished and painted and everything to where it looks brand new. It's actually can be considered refurbished
Well,
as a
maybe it's.
new one. Saying that 200,000. With all the tools on.
Probably not.
So, that's probably down the middle of something, as long as there's good quality used trucks out there. You know,
Because that-
20 years ago, there wasn't, because people.
We've got the same parties, everybody agreed on it except
Yeah.
her,
Now you got
and,
cities.
and that's a
Some
budget
cities
position.
like
So
Maryland.
that would be settled. Is there any other things we have?
We don't buy new, we're gonna lose our budget, because Delaware station gives us.
She is blueprint.
Said, we don't want to, she's actually gonna do what you're gonna let it, put new
I want
lights in the shed wrong arm to make it meet the new safety codes and refurb it. For a fraction of the cost. But then we want the money to use on something else. So
And they won't get it in the
and we won't, they'll give
Right.
somebody else, say, we're just gonna salary and something. So we bought it, but the only thing was, they said, you can't have it for our new one. And it was okay.
You were talking about your lease order. What I also do though is when we get an order, I send it to the auditor's office. And they look again, sure it has on it, everything on there that they see as far as, you know, the county government and money and stuff. They look for dates and when it's effective and stuff like that. But, so I feel like it's probably fine. That was something I did.
Well, and that's why I said
Because
that's a J, because it looked like it was very simple changes to it. Look, what may have changed in the laws that I don't know about, that he has to change, so I just sent it to him. And he, I thought he was gonna have it, but then I realized he didn't think, he acted like he would have. With the holidays.
state preservation,
Yeah, so
so.
I didn't think he would either.
And his
There's
four
no
calls,
problem. I told him,
if it's close,
go ahead and present this.
it's state
As soon as
preservation.
I have it, I'll get it.
I don't have to.
That's okay.
Maybe I do.
They'd be crazy not to.
Right.
Because I wrote a letter to them.
As I think you probably need like that. Also, for them to sign the order.
Oh, man, I hope it's like that.
I got a couple late comments. West Virginia Division of Arts, Culture, and History is where the left goes to. But SHPO, State Preservation, Historic, that's staying, but it's under the West Virginia Arts and Culture. It's preservation, I know. I love that. Excuse me, Bill. Hey, I had, leave it so nasty, but I just love it.
I made the motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
There was nothing, it was informational. But at this time, I do want to sheriff up here again, he has, some else he needs to do, which is hire someone.
What's the original?
Darn.
Okay.
I got one. I'll grab one of theirs.
And that is a request to hire one of the utility positions that we have. Starting date was January 3rd, 2022, at $14 an hour for James Ward, who's a Kingwood resident. He's been, I guess, has a lot of experience working in Morgantown.
Okay, very great.
Make a motion to consent to hire and employ James Ford as a utility officer for Preston County Sheriff's Office beginning January 3rd, 2022, rate of pay $14 per hour for a 3-month probationary period.
Second.
Commissioner Ford, second to hire this utility officer. Commissioner Stone?
Yes.
Commissioner Crump?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Sheriff. And you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Anything else? Or are you done?
So,
Okay, all
there was
right.
a couple of things I probably should have said.
No, that's okay. You can get with this later.
I'm done if everybody's feeling good.
I don't have anything else.
Till 10:30.
I-
Till 10:30.
Till 10:30. Yeah. All right, okay, that'll bring us down to old business, and right now at CARES funding, we have a request from the Preston County data team.
Yes, sir, you've received I believe it's,
$5,510 request.
it's for a scanner that they use underwater. I'd be happy to provide you some additional information for the website. They're just requesting an allocation of $5,000 from the CARES fund.
This is where I had a question for you, because I thought you might know. So when you were discussing the increase in the amount that goes to the association to 30,000, I had thought that I had understood in your previous comment prior to that some of that money out of that 15,000 was to go to do some support for the dive team and other services that the county offers and shares. Is that correct? And you said that it had kind of fallen
Yes, now, we don't
short.
have a set amount designated. They just make their request, and then the association looks at what we've got and whether we can honor that.
Well, and my thought is that the dive team has come before us on a couple occasions in my tenure, needing some things pretty quickly because they have no other avenue of support. And so, seeing that you guys are trying to be proactive in the future on a levy to try to have additional funding, to offer to the dive team, when they have needs that arise, that,
I'd have to go back and have somebody show me the minutes, but I know that we did approve money for them before, but we've also turned them down before because
because
the
there was.
association
have
really
money.
doesn't have much excess money,
Right.
honestly. And
Well, like I said, you were only supposed to get $15,000 a
Yeah.
year, and that doesn't go.
that was
a
a
long
start, but it don't go very far.
way. No, no, go very far.
No.
Mhm.
And then like the rehab trailer, which we use anytime it's hot, like we take it out on the interstate when we have wrecks that last for several hours and has air conditioning and stuff. And there's no other money to take care of that except what we can come up with.
Right.
Wayne usually doesn't have the money for it, so.
Well, my thought process is I am definitely for approving this request for the 5,500 out of our CARES funding, but I would like to go ahead and I'll just go ahead and make a motion, and if you guys approve, yeah, you'll vote yes, and if you don't, we'll discuss it.
I can add one more comment.
Sure.
Maybe you don't need it, but there's times where guys on that dive team have went out and paid for their own gear
When I have followed some of their social media posts for the dive team that they have
to
done,
have a dive team and then pay for their own training. Now, one thing our department did and Kingwood's department did, they just had a dive class, it was in the fall. And the guys were going to pay for their own, and it was like it's right around $500 a piece for that class. Because one of them was in our department and a couple of them was in Kingwood's. Well, two of them was in ours. We went ahead and used our training money from our department to pay for their training for the dive team, even though it's not part of our organization.
right, okay. Well, with that being said, you know, we don't know if your increase will be passed with the levy, you know, or if any of that's gonna happen. But if you've been falling short, we know what comes of continuously falling short. You just get behind and get behind and get behind. So with that being said, I would like to, I believe, let me just double check here in my mind what I'm getting ready to say. Okay, what I would like to propose, in a motion would be that, to approve the $5,500 for the underwater sonar purchase, as we have that quote attached. And I would like to add an additional $4,500, in addition to that, out of the CARES funding, that would be given to the association and earmarked for dive team expenditures in the future, for things that they do have that needed.
I would like to do that as two separate motions because it's the reason I say that is for clarification purposes, because we're mixing two things together, is why I say that. We're doing one thing for the dive team and then we're doing one thing to the association.
That's for the dive team.
One
But it's
question I
for
have.
the dive team, but I would think it should be two motions in my own personal opinion.
One question I had about the allocations to the dive team. Traditionally, those allocations go to the Reedsville Volunteer Fire Department and therefore then dispensed.
Okay,
So my suggestion would be that, that either way you do it, the allocation should go to the Reedsville Volunteer Fire Department earmarked for the dive team.
That was gonna be my
okay, all right.
question, Jack.
And like I said, it's
So
not
you're
against
looking
it,
at-
I'm saying there should be two things.
Well, just so that I
I
understand,
think that both monies should go to the same place,
Right.
doesn't really need conduit through the association.
okay, so then that's my question. How does it, with the fire levy and the association and the money with being earmarked,
They come and make a request at our meeting,
okay,
and then we have to vote on it as an association. And, there's so many needs that it's competitive for them.
Well, I guess my question here in the midst of this discussion is, what else is on the table for the dive team? I haven't spoken to Scott. I don't know if you.
I'm not
maybe
sure
you
I
know
know the
something.
answer.
I don't
I
know.
I have just spoken with Scott a couple different times concerning the dive team. And it's nothing more, I get from the conversation what Owen has told us, that the training, the amount of money, the cost of the equipment to be under the water and things like that. And I've seen them testing and doing additional training. So in my mind, there's a huge need. I mean, let's just be realistic when we talk about underwater rescue and
Yeah.
water rescue in the county. The Cheat River and other areas has been.
Yeah, I'm not debating whether or
Right,
not.
right.
I just
I'm just-
wonder
I'm just thinking we have a little bit of money that, it's not all the time that we
Yeah.
have anything that we can say, we can dub
Yeah,
it for
yeah.
this reason.
I
I
know
would
that,
almost suggest that you talk to Scott, see what their
I was
other
getting
needs
ready to
are.
say that.
Because I can tell you that he's just asking for one thing, hoping that he'll get one thing.
Right,
And
but,
I
But that's
bet you
something
his
we need
needs
to have a
is
discussion with him.
right, well, I'd like to, that was my question. I'd like to know that. I'm all about this $5,500 for this piece of equipment. But Scott is not bashful. And, he would tell us, I think, if there's a specific thing or a
Yeah.
list of things that they.
And the legislature actually here gave us money.
We use some
several
more than
months ago and things like that,
realize,
so, but yeah.
we had a search up in Lennox a few months back for that elderly lady.
Mm-hmm.
So we had some ponds, so they come and cleared the ponds, made it.
Yeah.
So we knew that she wasn't in there.
Right.
well, and this is the only reason I'm suggesting the additional earmark of money in an organization is, again, once we spend this CARES funding, it's gone. And our tax base in our county does not support always having extra funding to help out something so important. And so my thought is because the amount of time that I've spoken with Scott, they came for a trailer, they, needed X, Y, and Z. And I see the ongoing training and the need for that team to be developed, and continued, is that if we get the funds set aside now, it doesn't have to be spent, but then as a need arises, he's not coming back to a well that's dry because we put it out to other agencies.
If I
So,
could make
I'm
a
all about the
suggestion.
priority I said earlier.
Right.
Fire and associated
Absolutely.
rescue,
Well, if I could make,
EMS, and the needs that the law enforcement have as best we can from the CARES money. Those are my three priorities.
If I could make a suggestion, then you could go ahead and allocate the $5,500 for the invoice that he's given you, and then make a motion to earmark $4,500 of the
Right.
CARES money that I can put in your list, so that that money is already allocated.
Exactly, that's why I was trying to say it should be two motions, because we can't, it's not that I don't see a need, it's just, I don't feel comfortable just saying, here's $4,500 and
I
go.
think it can be the
You
same
know what I
motion.
mean?
I think we just need to say exactly how we want a total of $10,000, $5,500 to be paid for this equipment, 45 to be earmarked in our budget.
Yeah.
And like I said, to me, just for clarification, it made more sense than
Okay.
two
All
separate
right,
motions.
well, let's back up. When we don't discuss things and we, can't work on things like this, ahead of time, and, we have to make sure that we do have the discussion. So I guess we'll back up here, and I'm going to finish, I will amend my previous motion to say that request funds in the amount of $5,500 to fund the underwater sonar for the Preston County dive team, and earmark $4,500 in CARES funding in our line item for dive team expenditures in the future.
Both coming from CARES.
Both coming from
Second.
CARES.
Point of clarification, is that amendment, or did the other motion didn't have a second in it?
It didn't go
Never had a
anywhere,
second.
okay, because
So
we
it
didn't
wasn't
call for
amendment,
discussion,
it was a
correct,
motion.
right, yes.
Okay.
We tend to hop before we discuss. We've got to get better at that.
Well, that's what it's all about, is
Right.
discussion.
Right.
Dave, did you second that?
I sure did.
Motion on the floor in a second to fund this request and also earmark $4,500 for future dive team needs. Commissioner Stone,
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Brings us down to new business. That's a letter from the Kanawha County Commission regarding the property tax.
Yes, sir, that's just informational for you, but it does make a suggestion that you contact the sheriff's office and your assessor to see what kind of impact. That particular letter is about the constitutional amendment that'll go before voters about modifying taxes on personal property,
Right.
removing those. Just for your information, and if you have any direction of if you'd like to move forward with that process, just for your consideration.
I know this HJR 3 was discussed at the legislative kickoff meeting they had the other day. And one of the things about it is they knew that this legislature is firmly aware, and they've talked in the past about it too, that if they do away with this, with the property tax with the property tax on different equipment, they know it'll be a huge hit to county's bottom lines and school boards and things of that sort. And because of that, they also know that because they have a surplus within the general fund through other taxation, that as part of this, they want to try to make the counties whole, as they call it, by looking at the highest total over a 10-year period that a county has received from this particular tax, and to basically lock that in for ever and ever, and the legislature will basically pick up that bill. So if I'm just throwing a number out, if, let's say, Preston County's $500,000, I know that's not the number, but if it's $500,000 is the biggest number we've ever received from this collection, well, the legislature from here on out will give us that $500,000 forever and ever and ever, And then there's another thing, and I forget his name, but he's the chair of the finance committee of the legislature. His name escapes me, Senator, I forget his name. But another proposal was to do a high 3, like over the 10-year, figure out what the high 3 was and average that out. And then the thing is, what a lot of people don't realize is that this tax has decreased in all but 3 counties in the state. There's like 3 counties where it has not increased over the last 10 years. It's steadily going down.
Oh, decrease.
Yeah, it's steadily been going down. It has not increased. There's only 3 counties where it's increased. The other 52 counties, it's been going down steadily. So in a way, it's like, okay, if you know it's gonna go down next year, why not just take what they're gonna give you today and stick with it? Because you know the year after next, it's gonna go down again, and it's gonna go down again, until it gets to the point where it's not gonna be much of anything. So take what they're gonna give you and hold on to it. So Kanawha County, I think, is one of those exceptions. Theirs has been going up, so that's why they were writing this letter.
Well, it's just informational.
Exactly, so, but I just wanted to put that out there. So, but no, the County Commissioners Association is perfectly aware of this resolution and what the impact will be on counties, but also at the same time, the legislature is well aware that if they do this, it's gonna take a big hit at the local level, so, you know, so but like I said, they talked about that at the legislative meeting last week, so they're well aware of it. If they do this, part of that thing is to give counties money to make up the difference, so. All right, that brings us down to our administrator's report.
Okay,
Kathy?
the first item I have for you is a discussion on the property tax for the lease vehicles for enterprise, and I've provided for you the email that I have received from Casey Ortega, who was here discussing this matter with you. And basically, the email says that, that the bill to try to eliminate property tax for municipal and county governments is going to be introduced again.
Yes.
However,
you're
at
right.
this time, their appetite is to request the complete amount of tax rather than your offer of paying half. I believe that amount is $4,791.50. So they have rejected your offer of 1/2, and I just need direction on how you want me to move forward.
I think we ought to pay it.
Okay?
I would
Remember it.
I would be in agreement with that. And like I said, I did talk to Senator Seifel. He will reintroduce this bill. He said it was a good bill. It fell apart. It did not get through the House with the problem.
Yeah, crowded out. by
It got
other-
crowded out by other things in the House and got dropped, is what
I
happened.
think the important thing to remember here is that this is something that they're not going to forgive regardless of whether the bill passes or doesn't
Right.
pass. And so being good stewards, we must pay our bills and not leave them go. I don't believe we would have a legal case against anything.
No, and no,
For
it's just gonna
this,
keep.
we would probably lose.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is that essentially, if we're paying $4,000 or $6,000 or whatever, we're gonna get that back. Because,
What's important
I
to
mean-
remember, they have forgiven 7,000.
Yes, I mean, that was the thing. They, out of good faith, they forgave the first $7,000. So,
But-
So if they forgive
Yeah.
it,
that-
would forgive it again because of the bill. That's why they forgave it the first time, and because Kathy went up against it and fought for it to be forgiven. So I think the important thing is just to note that it's not going to be, the bill isn't going to go away. So even if the bill passes, we still owe the money. So
right.
with that, I make a motion to go ahead and pay that $4,791.50 in taxes that Preston County is responsible for to Enterprise.
Second.
Commissioner Flores, second for this property tax bill. Commissioner Stone,
Yes.
Commissioner Price.
Yes.
Yes.
One important thing to note
What's it?
is when you're discussing again, because Enterprise certainly will be here again at your budget,
Mhm.
and there's no guarantee on the bill,
Right.
just to be cognizant of the fact, if
Right.
you continue a relationship, you are going to owe tax.
Right.
Right.
Which I won't forget that.
Right.
Okay,
All right.
okay, Dave, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was just gonna say, in case anybody, any of the counties or municipalities are looking at a lease, make sure you figure that in. If you're gonna have to pay taxes, which you normally don't. Fire department, if you lease one. Now, if you lease purchase, like most of us do through Jeff Smell or anybody like that, if we finance it and purchase that, then that is not a problem because we don't pay taxes on our own stuff. on things we own. But you will pay taxes on a leased vehicle.
The next item I have is a request to approve the documents for the state's portion of the VOCA grant. This is a federal grant. If you remember, there was 20, I think the deficit was about 22%.
Yeah.
The state has picked up the rest. The amount is $9,624. I'd ask that the president be authorized to sign, and Madam Clerk, you need to attest to the resolution on the VOCA state grant.
I make a motion to authorize the president to sign the state VOCA grant documents.
Second.
Motion for a second, authorize the president to sign the VOCA grant documents. Commissioner Sting?
Yes.
Commissioner Price? Yes. Yes.
The next item I have for you is Preston County Day is February 3rd. I believe a reception is on February the 2nd. Of course, that's in Charleston, where Preston County shines on that day and offers people an opportunity to come and visit some exhibits of things that are happening in Preston County. The sponsorships this year, this is being coordinated by the Preston County Chamber of Commerce. The breakfast sponsor is $2,500, the reception sponsor is $1,000, and an event sponsor is $500. In the past, the county has contributed $5,000 to the event. Just want to bring that forward if you're interested in doing that again.
Do we have and that request for a sponsorship is from the Chamber of Commerce?
Yes,
correct? And do you know, or is that something we need to reach out to them about what that really covers, what our $5,000 is covering down there? Because we've attended down there. I would just be curious to know.
I think your name is on the agenda, and it just helps cover the cost of the event in its totality, not particularly the breakfast and the reception are total different.
things.
So there's some publications. I mean, I can get real specific and ask exactly what that $500 will cover. I think it depends on how many sponsors they have.
500 or 5,000?
It's 500.
You said
5,000.
5,000.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Okay, yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's what threw me on. Wait a
Oh,
second.
I'm
I didn't know
sorry.
it was that much.
I misspoke. It's 2,500, 1,000, and 500. That's what we
I
did.
thought that's what confused me.
All right,
I was getting ready to
well,
ask the
No,
same
I
question.
just wanted to clarify.
I was gonna ask the
That's
same
what we did
question
in
because
the
you said 5,000. Wait a
Okay,
second.
so I misspoke. It's 500.
Okay. And I thought 500 was sticking in my mind, and
Yes,
that just
ma'am.
kind of threw me off there for a second. Okay.
It really threw me off.
I mean, there is
a
a true benefit of the Preston County Day at the legislature. We have had a lot of good meetings down there concerning roads and other important hot topic items up here in our county. And so to me, $500 is,
I think it's well spent.
it's well spent to go down and have representation there. You know, I think it's good to help contribute to that, because let's just be real, if we don't help with the push with our delegates and our senators on the items that are important here, then and we have to have that representation. They've got to know who we are.
Right.
So having our name even out there in the publications gets our name embedded in the minds of those that need to read it. So I make a motion that we approve a $500 contribution to the Preston County Day at the legislature.
Second.
Motion for a second to
You're on roll.
contribute
We
to the
were all-
sponsorship of the Preston County Day at the legislature. Commissioner Stan?
Yes.
Commissioner Price? Yes. Yes.
Okay, the next item I have is an update on your maintenance projects. We have a couple of things happening. You had we cleaned and reinstalled a coil in the furnace at the animal shelter. That seems to be working fine now. That work was done by H.E. Newman. Then we also had a fan motor go out. That's taken care of at the animal shelter. Also at the animal shelter, our staff finished the roof in the cattery. I'd encourage you to go over and look.
Okay.
It'll probably be spring before we get the other internal things in that outdoor cattery, but it looks really good, and certainly we appreciate the generous over $7,000 donation from our anonymous donor
Yes,
on that
thank you,
particular
anonymous
project.
donor.
Luckily, we haven't had, I don't even want to say it, really bad weather, so our
The dirty word.
You just did it.
I know, I probably did. That along with the $5,000 that. So, but as far as internal maintenance projects, everything seems to be going on. I will say, as we approach maintenance projects, at the beginning of the year, we're gonna start the inventory that we spoke about, and, we're gonna start in the buildings that are external, just to get those cleaned out. There are some furnishings in the jury, in the courtroom that need to be moved to this location. So we want to make sure that we have room for those. As you know, COVID has forced the jury to go into the gallery, so we've had to move some things around. So we are going to kind of spruce that up a little bit. They have several big proceedings coming up, so we want to make sure we have that done. I know Dave pointed to the room in the back. To the best of my knowledge, I've asked around and no one is interested in that rolling shelving.
No deals?
Well, I would like to,
Have you thought about putting it downstairs?
well, I wanted to reach out, I have not, but I wanted to reach out to Allegheny, who is actually the installer of that. Just to, because sometimes it looks easy, but it's not necessarily easy to take it apart and put it back somewhere else.
Okay.
So it might be advantageous for us to reach out to them. They may have someone that's done that before, and even though it may cost us a little bit of money, it may
I mean,
be,
they're good shelves, that's the.
well, but it
Yeah.
may be smarter to get someone to reinstall it somewhere else that knows the product. So
Well,
I am gonna reach
The
out
health
to
department
Allegheny.
is currently building shelving in one of their buildings,
Who?
the health department.
Okay.
'Cause I know
In one of
somebody,
their external buildings.
yes, I don't know if it's something they could use or not.
I'm not, the jury's not out on me yet on we don't have a use for. We have a lot of books that are perpetual. We have to keep everything forever.
Mhm.
The neat thing about those is those roll up, so the storage.
You can
become-
contract it.
You have to have
You
it
can
able
compress
to roll out.
Yeah.
But I think just because of the type of unit it is, it would behoove us to get an expert to look
Well,
at
it had
how.
to be assembled in there, and it
Right.
would have to be disassembled to come out,
Mhm.
because it fills that entire space back here.
Oh, yeah.
Not
Right.
very much. So, yes, in
It's
all
a nice
honesty,
piece of
we've
equipment.
talked
I
about
just
it.
don't know what for.
We talked about it a lot, but let's just be realistic, it just hasn't made the cut on the most important on the list of things to do, but
No.
we do need to get it taken care of, so it's used.
But I never miss an opportunity to point at it.
This is maintenance, projects in their totality.
Right.
You are going to have some large maintenance issues
Aye.
coming your way.
Yeah.
So, I do have everything to the Mills Group to move forward with a request to, state preservation to look at the ceiling project.
Okay.
And then you're going to have a roof project, at the, jail, building. You are going to have an HVAC project at the animal shelter. Those are three that we want to make sure that we're ahead of the game. I've already reached out to Michael Mills to get you some kind of contract to get the engineering and the architectural part done. And also, the jail will also be one that SHPO will be involved in because it's in the historic district. So you do have some large, one advantage is you do have a $100,000 grant that will assist you with your ceiling project at the courthouse. Along with that, you're gonna have some internal maintenance that's gonna have to be dealt with. That is your painting, you're gonna need some new flooring. Hopefully, what we need to do is come up with a strategy of what building we're gonna do first, what kind of flooring that you want to replace it with. This flooring was 2007, 2008. And you're halfway through a performance or better project, which are roofs and building envelope and all that. So we want to be proactive and create a strategy on those kind of things. The next item I have for you is the update on the TV project at the courthouse. We had a meeting last week, and the engineer was there, the Supreme Court was there, Mark was there, I was there, the judge was there, and so it has been determined that we can mount the TV on a swivel mount on the wall that the sheriff wanted. So I have.
The
for
judge
you-
on it.
Judge.
Yes, I'm sorry, the judge. And I do believe that the sheriff was involved in the conversation
Okay,
because it is used for evidence and we wanted to make sure that all the jurors could see.
gotcha.
So what I have for you today, once again, because this is a historic building, it must go
Mhm.
for review to be with history and culture preservation. So I have for you today the section 106 review to present to SHPO, which also has your engineering drawings, photographs, and electrical. So I'd ask that the president sign the letter requesting a review by SHPO.
That need a motion.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, yeah.
I just need the president's signature on the document. Okay, next item I have for you is, you have received the $5,000 promised by the governor's office for redistricting. We have deposited that money into refunds and reimbursements and have created its own individual line item because the governor's letter was specific that he's asking that be used for redistricting only. I believe the clerk's already presented us some bills, so we certainly appreciate that, and that will come in handy. Not 100% sure that the 5,000, because we have various publication, yes ma'am, but it certainly will help. So we want to
Hey, every little bit helps.
thank the governor for his, the state of West Virginia for
Yes, it is.
helping us out on that. I do have budget revisions for you today. Dawn, here are yours to
Thank you.
put stamps on. And
All
the
right.
first budget revision I have, and I, these, let me make sure, they're in the order I gave to you. The first one you have is the refunds and reimbursement of $5,000 into 401-22301. That is for the redistricting.
Okay.
The next budget revision that you have is, show me your paper there. Okay,
Okay.
we can do VOCA. This is the federal and state budget revision. You're receiving $34,581 from the federal allocation. You're receiving $9,624 for the state, and your matching for your local match for that is $4,265. This goes to salaries, benefits, some travel and materials. This runs from October 1 of 2021 through September 30, 2022. And if you remember, we have been funding that position because it had no grant.
Right.
That will be our first request to get back into your budget.
Reimbursed,
Yes, ma'am.
right. Mhm.
So that's that. And the second one I have for you is, or the third one is budget revision, Deputy Stockett got promoted.
Uh-huh.
This is money that you keep in your budget until the time of promotion. So you're giving $1,509, which covers a salary increase of $1,250, and then the FICA retirement on top of that. So, and I believe unless the clerk has budget revisions, that's the only ones you have today.
I make a motion to approve the budget revisions on redistricting, the VOCA federal and state, and Stockett's promotion.
Second.
Okay, on your miscellaneous
Hold on a
course.
second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion on the floor in a second to approve the budget revisions. Commissioner Stain?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes.
Under miscellaneous correspondence, you have received, and I believe you've all gotten an email about the Gila Conservation District Annual Awards and Appreciation Banquet, which is being held on January 13th at the Mesa Town Fire Hall. So just information.
We're not Charleston then, are we, the 13th?
No,
No,
we're
ma'am.
not. That's
You're-
probably-
that's
we
just-
don't
I'll
go
go
back-
over the calendar.
We don't leave until the 16th.
All right.
Yes.
So just information for you all. It does have an
It-
RSVP, so.
It is a nice event. I went to it. Just COVID messed me up 2 years ago over in Court. They had over in Court. It was a very nice event, very well attended. They have, people that they gave awards from Preston County and everything there. So, yeah. This year I'm not gonna be able to make it. I already had something planned for that. So,
Well, just let me know, or you
I'll
could
check again.
RSVP yourselves.
Mhm.
The other item I have for you on miscellaneous is, just want to keep you up to date on, we have started our arrangement with Preston High School on the tech program. It's going very, very well. We have 3 students that are participating. The educator, Amanda McCleary, is doing a fabulous job of coordinating it for us. They're have just become part of the team. It's worked out really nice. So they'll be back with us starting January 5th. So just to let you know that that's going very well. On the calendar, we have an informational meeting that's set at 10:30 today at 911. And basically what we're going to go through on the mass gathering, did I say?
No, it's like 20 after.
I know, I'm going as fast as I can.
It's all good.
Anyway, we have an informational meeting on the mass gathering at 10:30 today. Also at 6:30 tonight, a towing meeting is at 911. This is just a review of, it's
The
a
record
3-year
policy.
requirement. It's a review of the record policy. Not sure if you're all attending. I know Dave is going, just so you're aware of that.
Okay.
Then on the 29th, we have our annual fire alarm inspection. We'll take care of that. And then just a reminder that the offices will close at noon on Thursday, as the governor has declared a half-day holiday. And then, of course, the offices will be closed on the 31st. Your next meeting for the new year, for your elected president and set your statutory meeting dates and times will be January 4th. That meeting will begin at 9 because I had no other direction. So we'll meet at 9. We're going to approve the magisterial maps that day. And then on January 5th, I finally coordinated with the city of Kingwood to get the sewer department to help us out with that problem that we have at the jail. So that's the most immediate things that we have going on. BJ Davis will be here on January 4th to go over a couple of things. He has a grant opportunity on some educational items. Also, there's been a request to perhaps set up an additional testing site on either in the lower parking lot or perhaps on the McGrew property. That would be a free testing site, so we'll have more information for you on that. That way it is coordinated with the health department that keeps the traffic out of, it's almost impossible for us to do a drive-through here, but down there in the McGrew may give us a better opportunity. So I think that's all I have for you. Any questions?
Not right now, thank you. All right, moving along, I know Commissioner Stan, do you have anything in your hand?
I have some things, but in the last, it's not time sensitive, so I'll just discuss it next week.
All right. Let's see, Commissioner Preston, do you have anything? And
Not needs addressed right now.
okay. I don't know anything either. I hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas and I hope you have a wonderful New Year coming up. See you guys next week. And we're adjourned.
I just got a text, John Bryan's on the way to the call, so we might not have very many people.
Okay.
But the sheriff did mention that he has to participate rather for us. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, I don't think.
Yeah, that's perfect. Do I need to make copies or can I have this one? Okay, perfect.
As soon as Jay gets the other one, then we'll get it to you. And
That's
then we
perfect.
get it on the-
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is, you have it for today, so it'll change.
Yeah.
But I'll have